Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special guest with me. I have Mr. Christopher with me and Miss Drusilla with me.
Yes.
All right. So, and today what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna educate you guys about real estate market, right? So I'm gonna ask them a few questions. They're gonna answer it so they can educate you about buying a house, right? So let's start by your name and where you guys are located at.
Yeah, so I'm Christopher Woodruff. I'm actually located in South Fort Worth. I've been here for about 3 years from San Antonio.
Hi, my name is Drusilla Dady, and I am in South Fort Worth as well. And what was the last part again?
How long you been here?
I've been here my whole life.
Amen. Amen. All right. So what we're gonna do today, right? I just want to educate the people about the buying process.
Okay.
So if you guys don't know, both of them are realtors in the local area. So I wanted to bring them today to ask them questions about the house buying process, right? So you guys can educate yourself about how to buy a house, right? So my first question for you guys, right? What are some of the biggest mistakes you see for first-time home buyers?
I think for me, one of the biggest mistakes I see is once we get into the deal, things are going well, things are going great. They know they're getting ready to close. They already have their date set. One of the things I always see is people jump the gun and they try to go purchase like maybe a new refrigerator or some new appliances, you know, or something for the house, when in all actuality, you don't need to be purchasing anything until you actually close. And sometimes they do, and they delay their closing.
What do you see?
I actually have to second that. Careless high spending is one of the main things that like kind of, you know, can make or break a deal really. So not make, but definitely break, you know? So yeah, I agree definitely with that.
Okay, so second question to that, right? Can you educate them why you don't recommend them buying another or putting anything on their credit why they in closing, and what if they do that, what would that cause?
Yeah. So whenever you're buying, the lenders, like, they already have pulled, they've already vetted, you've already like done underwriting. So like anything that you buy and it messes with your credit, it messes with your deal. So you don't want nothing hindering your deal until you actually close. And if you do, the lender will let you know, they'll let us know, and then we're gonna be mad at you.
Exactly.
Not really, but we love it.
Exactly what he said. It can really just not even just, you know, affect the process, but even, you know, the down payment, you know, it can raise it up just because, you know, your credit is going up. And so there's just many factors to why that's not a good idea. So you always want to be careful with your spending when you're in the, you know, in the middle of the buying process.
Can that disqualify someone if they like let's say you get someone that was close to pre-qualifying, they barely made it, and then they go add something on their credit, would that percent disqualify them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so wait till you close before you go put or buy anything else, all right?
Wait.
So, all right, another question for you guys, right? Is the process different if someone is buying a single family home or multi-unit?
So in real estate, we classify single family as anything from 1 unit, a single family house, up into a actual multi-unit 4 units.
Okay.
So anything over 4 units, 5 and more will be actually counted multi-family.
Yeah.
So as long as you're buying a duplex, a triplex, or a quadplex, then no, the price will actually be the same. And then once you close, obviously, right, you can rent those out and make the extra money.
So
Yep.
the process is the same as long as it's residential. Because
Correct.
anything over 5 is considered commercial, right?
Correct.
So as long as it's residential, the process is the same, right?
Yes.
Because what I've been educating people on my channel is I've been telling them don't buy a single family home, which is 1 unit. I've been telling military people, right, to buy a 4-plex. That way they can live off one and rent the other 3. So I just want to let them know, make sure they know the process is still the same. So the price is still the same, right? So make some money while you're doing it, okay?
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So next question. First thing you ask for when someone contacts you trying to buy a house, what documents do they need?
The first thing I ask is, do you already have a realtor? Sorry guys. Yes, I ask if they already have a realtor because that's important to know. I don't want to be sharing, no, we can't do that. So,
Okay.
And then the first document that I would ask also, it really depends, but normally I do want to ask if they already have a pre-approval or, and if they don't, then I just kind of take it from there with the process. So I'm not going to get into that because I know there's
It's a lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, for me, that's typically the same thing. It's pretty standard. I think every, realtor should, ask for those same things. Make sure they're not being represented
Yeah.
by another agent, so you're not wasting your time.
Correct.
And if they are, maybe they've had a bad experience.
Yeah.
Then you definitely want to let them, hey, get in touch with that realtor. Separate yourself from that contract before I start helping you. And that's just the ethical thing as well, right? So
Yeah.
Okay, because you don't want to step on somebody's toes, right? I got it.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Okay. So now, if a veteran was to contact you, right, trying to buy a house, what is the first step, and what documents do they require?
Yeah, so veterans is pretty much the same process as like regular homes. Obviously, because they're veteran, we'll need proof of I think it's the DDT 214.
Okay.
And preferably for me, I like to put my clients with a lender that has experience working with veterans, because not every lender is great at working with veteran loans. And so you want to make sure that your agent is going to put you with someone that actually knows the process, because there's a lot of different benefits, incentives that guys can get, and not every person that does lending is going to know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the biggest? Maybe you know this question. Maybe you know the answer. What's the biggest difference between a veteran and then a civilian buying a home?
The biggest difference?
Yeah.
So definitely with a VA loan is much easier.
Okay.
And it can be much faster as well. I can't really remember. It's been a while since I've done a veteran, but I know, like, as far as like the closing time, the amount of like down payment and stuff like that is much cheaper. It's definitely a smoother process than like actual civilian buying a property.
So I'm gonna help him out. So for veteran, right, if you buy a house, it's 0 down payment. That's why the process is faster,
Exactly.
because you're not coming with no money out of pocket, right? So if you're a veteran, make sure you go through a VA lender, because you don't have to put no money down. That's
Exactly.
the only difference between a VA home loan and a civilian home
We
loan.
thank you, veterans.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. All right. What's the typical process for buying a house when someone contacts you?
Yeah, I'll let you go first.
Okay. So the typical process for buying a house if someone contacts me is, again, seeing if they are already pre-approved, and if not, then definitely connecting them with one of my trusted lenders. And then from there on, well, actually, I'm missing a step. So initially, I start off with my buyer's consultation, and that's to kind of get a feel for them and also what they're looking for. And then I will move on to the pre-approval or connecting them with my lender. After that's done, kind of go through the process and gauge it from there.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, no, it's the same, pretty much the same typical process. I think that buyer's consultation is very important.
Yeah.
It allows us to gauge and kind of exactly see where a person is and their level of buying. And if we can move forward, send them to a lender.
Yeah.
Or if they just started a job 2 months ago, hadn't worked in 3 years, there's probably really no reason to send them there unless they have money in their account.
Yes.
But yeah.
Next question. What strategy do you use to find homes that are not yet on the MLS?
Woo. For this one, you kind of got to go the backdoor route. When I say that, I mean, sometimes for me, I kind of like to contact other realtors and see if they have any off-market homes, because you'll be surprised. Some of them have a lot of off-market homes that they're just not listing online or through the MLS. And so I will contact some of my not lender friends, but realtor friends, see if they have anything on the market, or honestly, investors. So some of the investors, they might have some homes too that might be a good choice. So yeah, that's kind of some ways that I kind of look for them. What about you?
Yeah, I would use all of those things as well. And sometimes, over the years, I've built relationships with guys that do wholesale real estate, or other investors, just to see what they know or who they know that can connect me. They even have websites now that most investors use, such as like Batch Leads and PropStream, that allows you to pull leads that are off market.
Okay. All right, next question, right? How do you help clients win in a high demand market?
Yes, so for this one, it really is going to depend on the earnest money, so that's the down payment, increasing it, because normally it's like 10%, but even if you put, a little bit more, and you kind of shorten the option period, because I believe the option period is like 7 days. No, yeah, 5 to 7 days. So maybe even kind of lowering it down to like 3 days, and then kind of spiking up the earnest money, just depending on, you know, what you can, you know, do in that moment. I mean, it goes to the home. So, you know, but yeah, you definitely want to do those things, because it shows the seller that you're serious, and
Okay.
they pay more attention to those things.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. So if it's a, you know, high demand, you want to build a solid, strong offer. So whereas like, you know, a normal option period maybe 7 days, we say, hey,
Yeah.
let's shoot for 3 days. Let them know that we can close faster. Also, whereas like a normal buyer may, you know, ask for like seller concessions to help. Like, hey, we're not gonna ask for seller concessions because we're serious about buying, you know. And so even with earnest money, whereas like the normal percentage that you would normally give, no, let's give more. We're showing that we're ready to play ball, and that's how you build a strong offer to win in a very high demand market.
Okay.
Wait, I gotta say something, because I know some buyers gonna be like, no, I want those concessions. But nah, that's a good point.
Okay. All right, next question. How do you recommend neighborhoods and areas for clients to buy in?
Yeah, so she gave it to me. So you know, you have to be very careful, right? Because there's this thing called steering, where, you know, you can, like, if, you know, for instance, she wanted to buy, I'm like, hey, no, don't stay there. There's a lot of high crime. It's hood, it's ghetto, got your gangbangers over there. No. So I typically do my buyer's consultation, right? And I find out where exactly they want to go. Based upon what they tell me, then I'll give them like my recommendations. You know, hey, I think this is probably great because it's closer to your job. I think this one is great because it's a great school district. And so for me, that's typically how I would handle that situation. So you don't get in hot water.
Right.
Okay.
I kind of do want to add to this, because he made a point about how sometimes, you know, or we can't do steering, and it's not necessarily that us realtors, you know, don't want you to be in a certain area because of high crime. Or, of course, it's our due diligence, you know what I mean, to make sure you're in an area that you feel comfortable with. And so we present those options to you, but I look at steering also more in a way where, like, hey, let's say my client is African American, like, hey, these are where more of the African Americans are versus the, you know, non. And so for me, that's kind of what we have to kind of be careful of.
Okay.
So
It's
yeah.
bugs out here, people.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What is the best advice you will give to a first-time home buyer?
I think probably the best advice I would give. So what I normally tell my first-time home buyers, and really any buyer, but definitely first-time home buyers, is a lot of times first-time home buyers have this expectation, like, even if you find the greatest realtor with the greatest reviews, like everything is going to be great. Or if their credit is good and they have money in the bank, that everything is perfect. But it's not always the case. So I always like to tell my first home buyers, I try to set an expectation like, hey, anything could go wrong, right? It's not always guaranteed to be perfect. So there could always be some turbulence. But you know what I tell them? I say, hey, I'm not Allstate, but you're in good hands.
Amen.
Right? So,
All right.
you know, even though there may be turbulence, you know, I'm your pilot. I'll lead you, guide you back on track, and we will close.
That was
Preaching the
good.
gospel right there. Okay. You look like he's trying to sell some house.
Okay.
What's your best advice to a first-time home buyer?
My best advice to a first-time home buyer is to make sure you get a realtor who actually understands what you're looking for and who listens. You know, because there's a lot of realtors who are just in it for, you know what I mean, business sake. But like, if you are not comfortable with your realtor, make sure you express that to them, and don't feel bad for, severing ties. I mean, there's plenty of other realtors who actually will listen to your concerns and help you find exactly what you're looking for. So I would just say, find somebody who truly listens and understands, you know, you and what you're looking for.
All right, YouTube. Hopefully this is informational. Hopefully you guys learned something from this video, and then you guys will go out there and buy your first property. Make sure you buy a multi-unit property so you can make some money, right? Make people make money for you, okay?
And make sure you buy it with us.
Do that too, all right? All right.